Today, we're diving into one of the Bible's lesser-known, but deeply compelling, stories, the story of Jael and Sisera. It's a story about bravery, loyalty, and a surprising twist that shows how, sometimes, the most unexpected people end up making a big impact. Our story takes place during the time of the judges in ancient Israel. This was a challenging period. The Israelites had settled in the Promised Land but faced constant threats from surrounding nations. For years, the Canaanites, led by a king named Jabin and his powerful general, Sisera, oppressed Israel. Sisera was feared, partly because he commanded an impressive army with 900 iron chariots, state-of-the-art warfare technology at the time. Israel, meanwhile, was struggling to defend itself. Then, we meet Deborah, a prophetess and judge. She's one of the only female leaders in the Bible, and she's respected for her wisdom and guidance. Seeing her people in distress, she summons a man named Barak and tells him that God has instructed him to raise an army to defeat Sisera. Barak agrees, but on one condition: he insists Deborah must come with him. Deborah agrees but warns that the victory won't belong to him. Instead, Sisera will fall into the hands of a woman. This prophecy sets the stage for our main character, Jael. Barak leads his forces into battle, and Deborah's prophecy comes true as Sisera's mighty army is thrown into chaos. A sudden downpour of rain turns the battlefield into mud, neutralizing the advantage of Sisera's chariots. Caught off guard, Sisera's forces are overwhelmed by Barak's army, and the once mighty general realizes he's losing the fight. In a panic, he abandons his troops and flees on foot to save himself. Exhausted and alone, Sisera finds himself near a settlement belonging to Kenite, a neutral tribe with friendly ties to both the Canaanites and the Israelites. There, he spots the tent of a woman named Jael. Now, who is Jael? She's not a soldier, nor a prophetess like Deborah. She's an ordinary woman who probably spends her days caring for her family. She's not on anyone's radar, but, in this moment, she'll find herself making a life-changing choice. When Sisera stumbles upon her tent, he sees Jael as an ally. After all, her people, the Kenite, had been on good terms with the Canaanites. So, he asks her for help, and Jael, perhaps seeing an opportunity, invites him inside. She treats him kindly, even offering him milk to drink, which was considered a gesture of hospitality and comfort. Milk also has a way of calming someone down, maybe even making them a bit sleepy. Sisera, feeling safe and exhausted from battle, lies down in her tent. He tells her to stand guard at the door, to lie and say he's not there if anyone comes looking. Jael covers him with a blanket, and soon, he's fast asleep. And here's where the story takes a surprising turn. Jael stands over this sleeping general, the very man responsible for Israel's suffering, and she realizes that this might be a moment she was meant for. But remember, Jael's just an ordinary woman. She's not trained for battle. She doesn't have a sword or a weapon at hand. Instead, she grabs what she knows, a tent peg and a mallet. In the quiet of the tent, she walks over to Sisera, who's fast asleep. Then, with one swift, courageous act, she drives the peg into his temple, ending his life. Not long after, Barak and his men arrive, hot on Sisera's trail. Jael steps out of her tent to meet them and says, "Come, I'll show you the man you're looking for." They follow her inside and find Sisera lying dead. Deborah's prophecy is fulfilled. A woman has indeed claimed victory over Sisera, but it wasn't in the way anyone expected. So, what's the takeaway from this story of Jael and Sisera? First, Jael's actions remind us that courage can come from the most unexpected places. She wasn't a warrior or a leader, but, in a critical moment, she chose to act boldly. In this story, we see that sometimes, ordinary people can play pivotal roles, even in battles and conflicts where they seem out of place. Second, it's a story about taking a stand, even when you have to take risks. Jael risked her own safety to help free her people from an oppressive enemy. It's a complex, morally challenging story, and it invites us to think about how we make decisions when faced with difficult choices. And finally, Jael's story is part of the bigger theme in the Bible about how God can use unlikely people for extraordinary purposes. Whether we're religious or not, this story encourages us to consider how we might act in moments of courage and conviction. Thanks for joining us for this unique Bible story.